Grizzly bears they're a symbol of Canadian wilderness. I can't imagine what our mountain parks would be like if we didn't have grizzly bears in them. Yo bear! I have been working with grizzly bears for the last 10 years. I did my master's work working with grizzly bears in northern British Columbia, and I came back to Alberta because I wanted to work with grizzly bear conservation here.
Sarah is my supervisor, so she's doing her PhD on grizzly bear research in the Rockies. So she's looking at how grizzly bears use hiking trails, so we do remote cameras and visitor surveys.
I'm basically putting up cameras at trail junctions and the midway points between junctions. I chose these for national parks as the sort of the study area for my work because we've got a very interesting situation here in that we've got a lot of visitors. There's 5 million people a year who come to Banff, Jasper, Kootenay and Yoho for a mountain experience of one kind or another. But we also have, probably just under 200 grizzly bears living in that same area. And on the Alberta side of the border, those grizzly bears are part of a threatened provincial grizzly bear populations.
Coming from England, we don't have research really like this. I really liked the idea of going out and speaking to people, and I really like the social science side of conservation. So the fact that Sarah does surveys and she wants to know public opinions, I find really interesting. And then remote cameras, that's just pretty cool.
One of the things I look for when I'm putting up a camera is that I kind of like for the camera to have a shot of a wildlife trail and a human use trail. So I'm standing on a human use trail right now, and there's a faint little trail here that could potentially be a wildlife trail. So we'll throw a camera up right on this tree here. I'm collecting data from a variety of sources and streams that will all be combined. Do a lot of tree hugging with this, which is great. This idea of remote cameras allows us to actually collect data in a way without being there. And so it's really quite neat. You get this window into the wilderness that you wouldn't have normally. We're just gonna walk over to Box and collect yesterday's track sticks. So this is called a track stick. It's essentially a GPS unit for people. I'm taking the data that I have from hikers of hiker GPS locations, and I'll overlay the human GPS locations with the grizzly bear GPS locations and look for any correlations in space and time that way. So how close are grizzly bears to trails when humans are being active? Understanding how they're navigating that landscape is important for management. I really hope to help better understand or define the balance between human recreational needs and grizzly bear habitat needs.
She's very, very motivated and she loves her bears. When you're traveling down the road and sometimes you see a bear and Sarah gets really excited, so you can kind of tell her passion just from talking to her.
Whether or not I see a bear hardly matters because you know that they're there, and there's something quite magical about that, and it's a part of what it means to have true wilderness in Canada, is that we've got these massive animals roaming around the forest just doing their thing, just bears just being bears.